Alex, as we record this, it's Thursday, and there's going to be a scrimmage on Saturday. And take your time in this, and I can filibuster if you need me to. Who are some of the players, outside of the quarterback conversation, right? Who's some of the players that you think need to have a really big scrimmage this upcoming Saturday in order to not maybe get lost in the fold, or maybe to assert themselves from a starting position? Like, when you think of a player or players, and again, I'm throwing this to you in a second, so you only have like 10 seconds to think about it. You got a player or players in mind that you would say, man, that they need to have a really big performance on this upcoming Saturday?
Well, I guess when we think about the players who were starters, I would imagine. I mean, you mentioned David Gabinda and Jalen Ford earlier. Or I'm not sure you mentioned Ford, but Binda is working there with that second group with Jalen Ford behind Tamarvion Overshone and Brockermeyer. I think that if one of those guys wants to step up and take over that spot for Brockermeyer, maybe. I mean, look, Brockermeyer's look kind of good, so I'm not sure if his spot's particularly up for grabs or not, but it certainly feels like it would be. It certainly feels like it would be. Jalen Ford and David Binda started over that guy in the spring game, and that wasn't. It certainly wasn't anything projected that he was going to come in and be the starter. So I would say those guys, maybe one of those guys probably would want to have a big game. Alfred Collins, I think, could stand to have a big game. Here's the reason why. He's been playing behind both Keandre Coburn and Tavondre Sweat at the nose tackle, but just recently he's also been playing defensive tackle at the 3 technique, where he played a lot last year. And whenever he's playing there, he's begun to kind of come in with the 2s, and even during some rotations yesterday with the 1s, where they would have some of the sort of primary backups come in with the 1s in the pre-practice walkthrough stuff. And Alfred Collins was coming in there sometimes with those guys lining up next to Tavondre Sweat. So I think if he can show well at the defensive tackle position, if he's given the opportunity to rotate in with the 1s, that could be something where he could really solidify himself over a guy like Vernon Broughton. And it stinks we have to have a competition among these two guys, because Jason will tell you those were two guys that both came in with just immense recruiting pedigrees and immense upsides. But it just goes to show the depth of that interior defensive line position, that we're talking about somebody needing to kind of show something that is at that level of recruit and that level of player that's actually been pretty good on the field to be able to break his way into the rotation. I think that guys like Prince Dorba and some of these guys that are playing these edge positions, DJ Harris is a guy who's been mixing in there with the 2s and the 3s off of the edge. They're behind Ray Thornton. I'm not sure how much they love Ray Thornton or if he's looked a whole lot better, but to me, he doesn't seem like a guy that's completely unreplaceable there. I think if Prince Dorba or somebody would have a big game, he could definitely bite into some playing time there off of the edge. He's a guy that people had a whole lot of high hopes for. And then I think just Jatavian Sanders probably needs to continue looking as good as he does, get into game situations, show that he's worthy of being on the football field. Even if you have to get these guys into 2 tight end sets, that he's one of those tight ends out there, because as of right now, the fact is he is kind of working with the 3s behind Jared Wiley and Cade Brewer. I don't think that would continue, but he has some things to learn with his blocking. He has some things to learn with his fits, and the natural, his natural physical abilities can really carry him a very, very, very long way, but there's probably some things he's going to need to pick up just as far as where he needs to be in this offense. And if he can continue to show that, I have a feeling he's going to be a weapon they're going to want to deploy a lot, but he's going to have to show that he can get out there and they can trust him to know what he's doing.
Jason, I'm going to give you because I have a guy, and then I'll let you give me your guys or guys. Basically, I'm going to give it now just in case you take my guy. So that's it.
I've got one that's off the beaten path, so I hope you don't take it.
Okay, good. Well, and Alex, you will tell me if you agree with this. I will say BJ Foster.
Damn it, Anwar.
I knew it. I had a feeling you were going to go there.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say. Go ahead.
We can talk about it. We're on the same wavelength. All right, you give me. I said it, so I stole it from you. You give me your explanation.
My explanation is that, we're talking about some freshmen. I'm thinking Xavier Worthy and Jatavian, but BJ's a veteran, man, and he's got to show that, hey, he's got to eliminate some of this doubt that's surrounded him the past few years, right? And yeah, he's looking like a starter, and we all know what he's capable of. But if he goes out there and screws up and misses a couple tackles or blows assignments, and it's like, all right, it's the same BJ Foster, and obviously he's got to stay healthy too. But I think BJ needs to show this coaching staff and ultimately show the fans and everybody else in the fall, it's a different BJ Foster than we've seen in the past. And listen, I have been a BJ Foster, to steal Alex's word, I've been a BJ Foster truther since that guy was in high school. I thought that guy is dynamic, and he can be. And sometimes we see flashes of that, but it's a lot of this and a lot of down here too. He's got to eliminate that low floor, those low floor plays. I think he's got to show a lot more consistency to eliminate that doubt that comes along with just throwing him in a starting role after we've seen the first few years from him.
Alex, what about you? You would you agree on the BJ Foster assessment?
Yeah, I think that BJ Foster is somebody who we're always going to be looking at and hoping that he improves just based on what he's been the last couple of years. With that said, I'm not sure I would feel a ton of pressure if I was him, just because he's been lining up with the first group the whole time when they start out with two safeties.
But that's the point. That first mistake he makes, you're going to be like, oh, hell, it's BJ Foster again making.
Do you think this staff will do that? I guess they
maybe not. Yeah,
I'm not sure if that's something that that could be a gut reflex that we have only acquired over the course of the last 2 years that they might not,
But I don't think he gets the benefit of the doubt that probably any other upperclassman starter on this team is going to get. I think the first time BJ makes a misstep or blows an assignment or misses a tackle, a lot of DeMarvion Overshown does that. You're like, all right, he'll get the next one. BJ, you're like, oh crap, is this a sign of things to come?
You'll definitely hear about it on Orangebloods.
Oh yeah,
his first missed tackle for sure.
Let me ask you one more football question, and then I don't know if we'll talk recruiting or not, Jason. We want to maybe keep your mob rankings high.
All my parting shots. I'll gloss over their last two commitments, but yeah, go ahead.
Jason, let me ask you this. One of the last things I asked from football question is that Sarkisian has said a lot of this offseason, and he said this recently about feeling like he has the buy-in from the team. And you guys have been here for a long time. Around this time last, was it 7-8 years ago, Charlie Strong was kicking guys off the team still, right? I mean, he kicked like 9 guys off the team in year one, and he was still kicking guys off during training camp. A couple of years ago, 4 years ago, I guess it is, Tom Herman, and we heard about basically all the revolt going behind the scenes in his year one and not having that buy-in. The fact that Sarkisian is saying that he does feel like he has the buy-in, does that move the needle for you at all, Jason? Or is just one of these arbitrary off-season things that is hard to measure that people say, but it may or may not even matter when the season starts?
I spoke at the Austin Lunch Bunch group. What's up, Austin Lunch Bunch? And this question came up, and this is not what I said to them, but I am not buying the buy-in talk on where I said this is what I told those guys. We heard the same under Charlie. We heard it under Tom Herman. Every program thinks they have buy-in every single year until you get punched in the mouth. It's easy to have buy-in now. Let's see what happens in the fourth quarter if they're in a dogfight with Louisiana. Let's see what happens if they, God forbid, lose to Arkansas, or if Oklahoma, they catch a red-hot Oklahoma team and Oklahoma beats Texas by 3 touchdowns or something crazy. I'm not predicting any of this. Orangebloods, Longhorn Nation, don't at me in my DMs and all this crap. But okay, but if any of that happens, that's the test of the buy-in. It's easy to say the buy-in now, and I do get it that guys aren't pushing back. Guys are excited to work, it seems like, and guys are responsive to Sark's teachings and the staff's teachings. And I think this staff is probably easier to relate to. I've heard that from a couple sources, like, hey, this staff, they're not, maybe these players aren't walking on eggshells quite as much as they were with the previous staff. But yes, I've heard that comment that he likes the buy-in. I'm like, I'm not buying it, man. Let's see what happens. First sign of some real adversity, then we'll see what kind of buy-in has taken place.
Alex, are you buying the buy-in?
I think that they seem a little bit more bought in than they did under Herman. I mean, how could you not be? Herman came in and was just he came in as a dictator. He really did. Not only to the players, but even to the players' parents and to the media. And do you remember the way those first kind of closed door sessions on War
It was
brought in the pizza, tried to butter up the media, and then Tom Herman comes in and says, "All right, like if one of you guys talks to one of my coaches and I find out that coach is getting fired and his family's not getting paid because of you, like, oh, it's just like, come on, dude." And if this is the way that I don't see, Sarkisian and his staff haven't acted like that. I think that the buy-in has to be better than it was under Herman. And it probably has to be better than it was under Charlie Strong, because here's the fact of the matter. When you transition from Mac Brown to Charlie Strong, it was such a different, just things had been the same for 20 years. And then they changed so fast. Buy-in's not going to come easy. Tom Herman's never going to make buy-in easy with the way that he came in. Steve Sarkisian came into a fractured situation where it just felt like people, it felt like the players and various stakeholders and everybody around the program was just looking for something to kind of bring them together. I think that just by default, the buy-in is better, not necessarily through any doing of Sarkisian, just by the fact that he is who he is. He's living in the time that he's living. He's here in the situation right now. And for those reasons, I think that the buy-in is probably a little bit better.
Is that likability though, or buy-in? I mean, I don't know. To me, buy-in, everybody's singing Kumbaya in the locker room, but as soon as, like I said, as soon as they face some adversity, I mean, listen, if they lose that season opener, which is not out of the question, let's see what kind of buy-in there is. There'll be some knives coming out pretty quickly.
I think that there's maybe I'm associating just positivity about the general culture and stuff like that. Maybe I'm saying supplanting that for buy-in. It feels like the mood around the program is better than it.
There's certainly optimism, which that counts for something, right?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, like I see what you're saying, Jason. Like you're saying, yeah, and you're 100% correct, right? It sounds great. What happens when you get down, 2 touchdowns in the first half? How do you respond in halftime? Like it all sounds good. It's kind of like what we've heard about, the summer of ping pong, right? Shane Buechele and all the ping pong tournaments and how that was supposed to lead towards victories. And we've heard about barbecues and, oh my goodness, like we had a barbecue and the team came together, right? I get what you're saying. Like it's easy to win the off-season stories. It's easy to win the off-season narratives, but there's something to be said. I mean, Sarkisian he's been to different programs, right? So he's been to USC, he's been to Alabama, he's been to Texas. So he would have the opportunity to know probably better than most if these guys are actually listening to him, receiving him, and receiving the staff well. And I think the one of the big differences is that he inherits a program that had a little bit of success, right? I'm not saying they were great, but they had a little bit of success. They came off a good season, not great season, but good season, a bowl win. So it's maybe easy for guys to just say, okay, you're just fine tuning a couple of things, as opposed to the huge overhaul that Charlie was trying to do, the huge overhaul that Tom was trying to do, when people are saying like, wait a second. No, all he's saying is, hey, let's just add into the what you guys had done before, and let's just take it up to the next level. So maybe that's the reason why there is a quote unquote buy-in. But to your point, and I won't take it away from you, Jason, we'll see what happens against Louisiana. And if this team sticks together, then we'll know that there is a buy-in there. If they fall apart, and look, with new offense, new defense, new offensive line, there are potential pitfalls. We'll see what happens. All right, Alex, let's just go ahead and wrap this up with some parting shots. I'm hoping you've had a little bit of time to brace yourself, think about it. You've been in a good place, Alex, but none of our YouTubers have seen an Alex Dunlap rant before. And it's legendary on Orangebloods. It's not legendary on you. And I'm not forcing you into anything. I'm just letting you know. Alex, give us some of your final thoughts for your parting shots.
they want to see me rant, they should have gone to my damn school board meeting last night. got everyone there got 3 full minutes of the complete Alex Dunlap experience.
Is that available online? Can we watch that?
I don't know. I don't know. Don't go watch it.
Austin ISD, right?
I'll get absolutely canceled for sure. All right, but anyway, so as far as parting shots, man, I've been glad that we've been able to go to these practices. Thanks to Chris Del Conte, I think, for asking Sarkisian and Bianco and whoever needed to be asked to get us some extra practices. This has been more this fall. And I have a feeling it's kind of making up for just the complete lack of practice availability dating back to last fall and the spring and stuff. It's been really good to get out there and report on this stuff. It's been a pain with how late we've been given notice and stuff. When you got kids, like y'all's kids are back in school, mine are still kind of hanging out till next week. So it's just a bunch of, it feels like, it's literally yesterday, it took 5.5 hours of just going around, getting one kid one place, one kid another place, getting there. You get 20 minutes of practice, and then you go pick one kid up, drop him back off here, go to pick the girl up, take her to where her mom is. It was like, 5.5 total hours that 20-minute practice took, but it doesn't matter because I love it. And I'm glad that we'll be reporting on it. I'll be happy to be reporting today. Hopefully we'll get more practices too throughout the course of the rest of the fall. Other than that, no real rants or anything. I'm happy that we get a big preseason NFL DFS slate on Saturday. So I'll be researching all the worst players in the National Football League that'll be working for various various like realty firms and stuff like that come this time in September, but maybe scoring some fantasy points this weekend as they try to make these teams. And then I think we have games tonight too. We have 2 Thursday night games tonight. I need to look into who those are, but football is back, man. It's exciting. It's the greatest. It would be the greatest time of the year if it wasn't always so damn hot. So that would be my take.
We're gonna look up that Austin ISD meeting from last night and have that thing posted.
Just Google crazy man Austin ISD.
I get the feeling when Alex walks in, like the school board members are like, "Oh, God, here he comes." They already know. Jason, what do you got?
A couple things like Alex. It's funny, the whole football practices and being open. It's great. And Anwar, you've mentioned this too. Like, we're all like, damn, we may have to like drag our kids to practice or something. I jokingly said, like, I should like bring my 72-year-old mom to practice, and we'll set up like a little daycare over in the corner. My mom can watch everybody's kids while we're covering practice. She'd probably love it, honestly. On the recruiting front, Texas did pick up 2 commitments in the last, what is today, week and 1 day, I guess. I don't think I talked about the other one last week, but Owen Carey is a linebacker out of Mater Dei in California, committed to Texas. He visited for their pool party deal July 30th and picked up an offer, and he committed a couple days later. Ronald, aka goes by Champ Lewis, is a defensive back out of New Orleans that Texas offered. He was committed to Colorado. Texas took some lumps in their defensive back recruiting this summer, including Bryce Anderson recently committing to Texas A&M. Well, as soon as Texas got word that was going to happen, Texas offered a couple of DBs, one of which is Champ Lewis's. He's a corner, but he can play some safety, a big, long corner, 6'2", runs pretty well. He's a really good hurdler. So it tells you he's a pretty good athlete with good speed. But anyways, he camped at Texas, did really well at the camp. Texas offered him, and he committed right away. So, not the types of commitments that are going to make national headlines, and not what Texas fans were expecting in terms of star rankings and those types of things. But, a couple of intriguing players, I think, that both bring some raw athleticism. Owen Carey is from one of the premier programs in all of college football, or all of high school football, excuse me. So there's something to be said there. He's going to be well coached and well developed. But a couple commitments there. Obviously, Texas still has a lot of other bigger fish to fry, so to speak. A lot of work to be done with guys on the offensive line, at wide receiver, guys like Evan Stewart. So a lot of recruiting stuff. It's a dead period right now, so not a lot going on. As I mentioned, 2 commitments, but not a lot going on in terms of visits and those types of things. That'll start picking up in a couple of weeks. But that's just a couple of recruiting notes for my parting shots to kind of tie things up.
Good stuff. Jason, your mod rankings will depend on you actually getting some recruits.
Need a 5-star to commit soon. Yeah.
Yeah, my party shot, like all these, like Jason, I was able to drop my oldest son off to school today, 3rd grade, for him. And it's Jason, you understand, like it's not nowhere near where you're at, but you just still the incremental stuff, and you start seeing just the little differences. You're like, 3rd grade, that means it's only 2 more years of this, and then we're doing like middle school things, and then but the good part is I also have a kid who's 3, so I'm going to be in school forever. Like this elementary school, I will be in probably, I think, a good like 10 straight years or something crazy like that. So not volunteer for PTA, but yeah, it's been cool just to see him go back to school and be excited and hype about that. A little nervous, and I see him and his mom at my house today, and we all drove over, and it was good times. And I just want to say thank you to all you guys for supporting our YouTube channel and watching all the videos, all the NIL videos that have been posted, that Ketch has been doing. Ari's been doing a lot of things behind the scenes. Ketch and I putting out these daily things. So we appreciate your support. Like the videos, share the video, share it with those Longhorn fans who, you guys always talk about certain things, like, hey, share it so we can grow this channel. But we appreciate your support as always. Sign up for Orangebloods. Jason, do we got some deals going on right now? Sign up deals on
$21.22 for the first year, or 22.21. I can't remember, it's low $20 or whatever for the first year. So it's really a great value. It's normally $100 if you buy the year in full, $120 if you go month for month. So it's about an 80% savings right now. You get the first full year for a little over $20. Yeah. And that goes only for a few more days. So we got not quite a week left on that promo.
Do yourself a favor, sign up for that. This is my 30-second pitch. If you like this video, you made it to the end of this, that means that you're going to love the analysis that Alex Dunlaps is going to give you on Orangebloods. He does a breakdown every single week that you can only get on Orangebloods as far as film breakdown. He spends 2 days or so in the lab and gives you an analysis that there's no one in this market does anything close to what he does. Jason gives you constant recruiting updates. I try to give you team news. We got basketball information, and then we have the largest community of Longhorn fans, the largest message board. But we talk about so many other things outside of just sports. So it's a great community to be a part of. So now's the time to go ahead and sign up. Treat yourself. No one's going to get you anything you like for Christmas. So do yourself a favor and get yourself something now. But for Alex, for Jason, and for Ketch, who's doing his own thing, and the 800 people that we've hired that I've never met, and I don't think I know their names, for all those guys, thank you guys for watching. We'll talk to you guys soon.